Hello, everybody. This is James McDaniels, and you are listening to another week of the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour. I am your host, and we've got another great show on tap for you guys today. So we have got a very busy week that has just happened here. So many great things have happened. We have the Players Tournament that just ended. We have the NHL playoffs going on. Now, of course, those are other sports that are not the main ones, NBA and NASCAR, that I talk about. But there were big things that have been happening in those sports, so I'll talk about them. In terms of NASCAR and NBA, which is what the main part of the show is about, we've got NBA playoffs going on. We have a fine that's just gone out, so we'll talk about that. NASCAR, we have the race at Darlington. Great race, great history making there as well. We've got an update on the Sacramento Kings saga involving Sacramento and Seattle going at it. So we've got a very big plate to talk about today. So let's get right to it. So I want to start out with the NBA actually this week because there's so many things going on. We have the playoffs, and then we have the Kings saga going on, and then we've now got this fine that has gone against one of the coaches coaching his team in the playoffs. So I want to start out with the one that I talk about a lot on the show about every week. The Maloofs, Sacramento Kings owners wanting to move the Sacramento Kings to Seattle. Now, this has been a story ever since January, all right, when the Maloofs and a Seattle group led by Chris Hansen and Steve Ballmer up in Seattle wanting to move the team to Seattle, buy the team, and move them. Well, when that happened, the NBA and Sacramento worked together to get a backup plan worked out to where Sacramento would try to buy the Kings, and the Kings would stay in Sacramento. And the people that made up that was Vivek Ranadive, Ron Burkle, Mark Mastrov, a lot of different investors from this area, even people from Qualcomm wanted to join in. So there's two big bids on the table, and for a lot of you, this is just repeat, but for those who have not heard, so both offers had $525 million. There was a lot of discussion about which one they'd choose. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, the NBA relocation committee came together and unanimously put forth a recommendation that the Sacramento Kings should remain in Sacramento, and the Maloofs, the current owners of the Kings, should sell to the Sacramento group. Now, here's where the new thing comes in. So, not only has the Seattle group raised their offer now, I think they've raised it $100 million in total since that initial $525 million came up. So now their deal is at $625 million. And then they also are saying, okay, we'll also pay, and I don't know exactly if this is in addition to that 500 or that 625 million, but anyway, as part of it or not part of it, there is they're saying that they're going to pay a $115 million relocation fee. Now, I've said in the past that the NBA would probably give a relocation fee about in the $100 millions, but the thing that surprised me is that when the Seattle Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City in 2008, in that case, the Supersonics were moved to Oklahoma City for only $30 million. So the relocation fee that Seattle is saying that they're going to pay, that's almost quadruple the amount that was paid 4 years ago when the Sonics moved out of Seattle. So, honestly, that is also a very big extreme as well. Now, David Stern has repeatedly said through this entire process that this will not become a bidding war. But it seems to me that after everything that's been said, after everything that's been done, the fact that Hansen and Ballmer are still trying to really get this team by the force of putting more money on the table for a franchise that is definitely not even worth what their starting bid was, it's absolutely crazy. Now, I'm a Kings fan, so I want the Kings to be worth as much as possible, but, I mean, when you take the team as it is now, maybe if the team were still as good as it was about 10 years ago when they were playing the Lakers for the Western Conference Finals, then maybe, yeah, the team might be valued now at something like, $600-something million. But right now, with the Kings being as bad as they are, and the fact that you've got these Maloof brothers that are absolutely very stupid for declining to say, "Oh, we're gonna at least give Sacramento some bit of chance to, for us to sell to them." They've not done that. They really haven't. They've been behind everybody's backs, and they haven't given Sacramento a chance. And then now here with the fact that it got leaked up in January that this was coming, it gave Sacramento a little bit of time before the Board of Governors meeting in April to put a plan together. But you look at it in a bigger perspective, and you think, okay, why is somebody paying outrageous money for this team that really isn't doing very well? The crowd is declining in attendance. What's going on? Well, I can tell you one thing. Sacramento has the best fans in the NBA, bar none. They sell out like crazy, and they've sold out, for so many years as the Kings have been here. But I can understand them not wanting to go to games because you've got owners that are very, very stupid, and you don't want to pay money to them because they're just trying to put you behind their backs, and then they're gonna go and sell the team when you're just have been putting money into the team for so many years. Now we're up to this point now to where it seems like it's not going to become a bidding war, and I think the fact that Hansen and Ballmer are just trying to make every last desperate move to get this team to Seattle, I think that's not going to fly very well with the NBA. I think the issue is very much settled, and I think by the end of the week all of us Sacramento fans are going to be pretty happy, and the Kings are going to stay in Sacramento. Now, of course, anything can change. Before the meeting that was scheduled this week in Dallas to be the final vote on this whole decision, after the committee made a recommendation, that same committee is going to meet like a day or two earlier now and rediscuss this thing. Now, I understand that they may be rediscussing it and all, but it's very unlikely that they're going to totally change their decision. They've already made it pretty clear on the first part that they want to stay Kings. They want the Kings to stay in Sacramento. Pretty much. They even asked one of the owners that was there. It's like, why did you not go to Seattle, which has a lot more money, a lot bigger market, and possessed an NBA team for so many years? Of course, they lost it, but why? But why didn't you not go to them? Because they have pretty much everything that Sacramento. They have more than Sacramento has in pretty much every stature, including the money. And the guy was just flat out. The owner was just flat out true. He said, this wasn't a battle between which offers better, Sacramento or Seattle. It was a question of whether the city of Sacramento did enough to say, they deserve to keep this team. And by all means, they matched the offer to buy the team. They have an arena deal in place, and this is like the third one they've had in the last 5 years. And they've never been the ones that have got out of it. It's been the other people. And so you have the arena, you have the constant fan support that still goes there. We don't sell out, but we still fill up most of the buildings still nowadays. So you've still got the fan support. You've got an arena plan there. You have the money there. You have Ron Adive, who the NBA really, really likes, because not only is a minority owner of the Golden State Warriors, but they also like him because he's from India. And they want to expand their market to India, and Ron Adive could be a very, very big part of doing that. So that is the story there of why they really like Ron Adive. Now, Ron Burkle, like I said, he got out of the deal earlier because of a conflict of interest, but he's still wanting to play a very major role in terms of just around the downtown area. He wants to really help revitalize, but he doesn't want to be but he can't be part of the actual plan itself, because of the fact that there's a conflict of interest there. So, so many things to think about in the Seattle deal, but point case where we are now. Because of the NBA's board of recommendation, unanimous decision, it appears to me that Seattle and them are getting very, very stupid, and they're just becoming very beggy-ish now, and they're just throwing money in there and just hopes that the Sacramento Kings will move to them. And if it's not bad enough to put more money into this deal, the fact that the Maloof said they specifically said they will not sell to Sacramento regardless of what happens to relocation committee's decision. In fact, they even made a backup plan that would continue having the Maloofs be owners of the team, but they're going to sell 20% of their of the share of the Kings for $125 million to the same people of Ballmer and Hansen. So, of course, the idea behind that is to keep the Maloofs in control of Sacramento, force them to get an arena deal with them and not with the other people. And then when they prove that it can't work out because, you know what, they can't work with them, then they're going to go back to relocation and they're going to try it again. And they're going to keep trying until they can stink and get this team up into Seattle. But so you know what? I don't think the NBA is that stupid to fall for that. And so I think that both bills are going to get put down. And when the Blues have nowhere else to go, they're going to be so money-stricken that they're just going to have to take the stinking deal with the Sacramento Kings group. I mean, they're not going to lose a lot of money. They're already in a lot of debt. They're going to be getting a lot more millions of dollars than what they should be getting for this type of team anyway. I mean, I'm just getting on a roll right now because this is, you know, how big of an issue is, and I cannot believe how stupid and very selfish that this move is going with it. I mean, you had support all these years. You've had the fans putting money in your pockets for so many years. You've had so many attempts to have an arena deal done, and you're the ones that have been backing out of it, and then now you're going behind people's backs. So very, very unhappy with them loose. Very unhappy with how they're handling it. I think it's a very bad part on Ballmer's part and Hansen to just be trying to bribe the NBA into getting around all the hoops and stuff to go through just to get this team up into Seattle. I think at the end of the day, Sacramento is going to be happy. They're going to have their Kings fans. And I know you may think I'm prejudiced because I'm a Kings fan, and I understand Seattle needs and they need a team, but I don't think they should get. But they definitely don't deserve our Kings because we love our Kings too much here in Sacramento. Seattle, it would all be solved if they get an expansion team, but the stinking NBA will not do it. I don't know why exactly. I've been told it's because of talent dilution and a few other things, but you know, point in case if they could put up that kind of money for an NBA team. Oh, heck, any other NBA team that wants to move or when an expansion comes, NBA will easily get started in Seattle. So Seattle will definitely have an NBA team in a few years, but it will not have these Sacramento Kings. Everybody's put too much into it and too much money, too much time, too much organization, too much planning to just have it go downhill now. So my final word, the NBA was not stupid enough to fall for all the things that Hansen and Ballmer are trying to put up now with this backup deal and the extra money. Relocation committee or the NBA Board of Governors will take both of those things down. They'll show the Maloofs off there, and then the Maloofs, completely money-stricken and completely out of it, I think they will have no other choice but to sell Sacramento. But the way we know the Maloofs have been for all these years, who knows what will happen. So we'll see what happens this week, and I hope by the end of the week this thing will finally all be settled. The saga that's been going on for about 7 years is going to finally end. And hopefully it will end out in Sacramento's possession, that they will keep their Sacramento Kings. So that's basically the summary of the Sacramento Kings saga that's been going on in the latest update. So, point in case, now we just wait for Wednesday to come out, and we'll see what the Board of Governors decides. Of course, a very big prediction for what will happen will probably come tomorrow, as the relocation committee will meet again to talk about the brand new deals that Seattle has on the table now. So we'll see what happens, and I just hope that Sacramento will keep their team, and for so many reasons that I've already mentioned. So I've talked like half my show on the Kings, so I got to get off it now. So before I go into the other NBA and NHL news that takes like really fast to do, I'm going to go and talk about Darlington, the race at Darlington NASCAR Sprint Cup race, the Southern 500. Now, Darlington, one of the oldest tracks in NASCAR that the Sprint Cup runs in. I mean, there's been so many years of history on Darlington, and it did not stop at all with Saturday night's race. Big race in so many things. So first off, Matt Kenseth wins the race. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you it right there straight off the bat. Matt Kenseth wins the race. Yeah, the only thing that's, weird about it, though, is that he didn't lead that many laps like he's been doing some of these other races. In fact, he only led, let's see here, he only led for 17 laps the entire race. The person who led the most laps in this race was Kyle Busch. He led for 265. So he led tons of laps at this race. And he even had the lead going in the final stretch of the race. But I don't exactly know what happened to his car. I don't know if it was getting too loose. The tires were getting too worn. We don't exactly know what happened, or at least I don't know. But point in case, he was slowing way, way down compared to the speeds he was running the other majority of the night, and he got passed up, and he eventually, I believe he finished sixth. Let me just check on that very quickly. Yeah, Kyle Busch did eventually finish sixth when he did, and he was leading 15 laps before the finish, and he ended up sixth. So Kyle Busch, he was really dominant all night, but whatever happened to his car, I don't know. He just couldn't drive it at the finishing race at the finishing run when it mattered, and he went from first to sixth in the matter of just a few laps. So disappointing way to finish the night for Kyle Busch, but definitely a very good run for him throughout the whole night. He was definitely very fast. It was a very historic night for Jeff Gordon. 700th consecutive start in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and he finished it off in almost the grandest fashion you could get. Top 5 finish. In fact, it was his 300th career top 5 finish in the Sprint Cup Series. So basically, here's how you look at Gordon now. So he started 700 times, and in those 700 times, he's had 87 wins, 300 top 5s, and also 4 championships in the Sprint Cup Series. So it was a big night for him. Definitely a big time for his track. I mean, Darlington, he's won there so many times. I believe he's won there 7 times, if I'm correct. So he definitely had his 700th career start definitely came at a good track, and he finished the race very well at the track he's very good at. So I mean, this was even his words about the race. He said, quote, "I think looking back throughout my career, this track, Darlington, has been one of the best for me, a very special place," end quote. And he definitely showed why with that third place finish of his. So we'll see how Jeff Gordon can do throughout the rest of the season. He hasn't won a race yet, but he is 12th in points, so he's gaining back up there in the points after a slow start that he had to the season. So we'll see where Jeff Gordon lands up, but for right now, that's where he's at this point. So let's see what else we've got about the Darlington race. There was a few wrecks during the race. One of them included Casey Kane, which he was also really, really fast all night. He actually got into he didn't actually get into I don't know. 50-50 says Kyle Busch touched him. 50-50 says Kyle Busch didn't touch him. Might have been air. But anyway, on the quarter panel, Kyle Busch came up, and it looked like he just barely tapped Casey Kane's quarter panel and caused him to go in the wall, and that pretty much ended Casey Kane's night. Of course, we all remember Kyle Busch and Casey Kane. They got into each other and started one of the 2 big crashes that happened last week at Talladega. So pretty much no love lost for each of them. Of course, this one was unintentional, but it really ruined Casey Kane's day because he was running really, really good. In fact, I think he led a few laps. Let me check that out. Let's see. Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Gordon. I actually don't see that he actually led a lap, but he was very, very fast all night. I mean, take my word for it. He was very, very fast. So let's see what else happened. Oh, by the way, Denny Hamlin, he came back from that injury that he had when he sustained at that crash earlier at Auto Club Raceway earlier in the season. Finally, his first full race back. He finishes 11th. No, he doesn't finish 11th, so excuse me about that. Let's see. It's the 11th race of the season. I read it wrong. He actually finished a very good second place. So the first race of him coming back and, from that injury that he had, very, very, you couldn't get much better than that for Denny Hamlin. So I'm very happy for him that he was able to get a second place after coming back from that back injury or whatever injury he had coming out of California Raceway so many weeks ago, and now he's finally back full on the circuit. So it was a very good weekend. It was a very good weekend overall for JGR. They finished 1-2-3 in the nationwide race and 1-2 in the Sprint Cup race at Darlington during the weekend. Let's see. What else was there? Oh, so let's get back to Matt Kenseth here for a second before I go off and talk a little bit about NASCAR and NBA. Um, Matt Kenseth, the penalties against JGR and Matt Kenseth for that thing that he had in Kansas, the engine infraction that he had at Kansas, they were greatly reduced. So now he's back in contention. The penalties and fines are way less, but he still had to go 1 week without his regular crew chief. But you know what? The 1 week his regular crew chief was gone, he wins the race, and his crew chief that was on top of the crew chief box in this week's race for Matt Kenseth in the Sprint Cup race, Wally Brown. Wally Brown was the one guy that did it. Also known as Journeyman Brown. He won his first. That was his first win as a Sprint Cup crew chief after serving with 4 different drivers before his 1 week shot with Matt Kenseth. Which Matt Kenseth will also get his regular crew chief back of Jason Ratcliffe next week at Charlotte after Ratcliffe. He was originally supposed to be suspended for 6 weeks, but it got appealed and it went down to only 1. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen to Matt Kenseth after he gets his regular crew chief back. But at least for the Darlington race, it was clear that Matt Kenseth and his one-time crew chief of Journeyman Brown definitely worked very well together, had very good chemistry. The night went well for them. As for the other ones that didn't have a very good night, I mean, there wasn't that many people that finished on the lead lap. In fact, I think there was, let's see, Actually, there was only 17 cars that finished the race on the lead lap, so a lot of cars were very slow. They couldn't do it. I mean, if you look at Darlington, very egg-shaped, very different. Guys, this new Generation 6 car, usually you'd be up against a wall in all these races, but these guys were running low, they were running high, they were running everywhere. So the new Generation 6 car really changed things around at Darlington in terms of how you were able to race. And that caused for a little bit of bump into Hackman because these guys were racing different lines more often than they used to. So Reagan Smith, he had a spin during the race. Let's see what else. What other guys wrecked? Casey Mears and Kurt Busch. They also tangled with Brad Keselowski during the race. Let's see what else. I already told you about Casey Kane, how he got wrecked into the wall. And then there was another accident involving David Ruman and Josh Wise. So those were basically the main crash cautions during the race, and that's pretty much your summary of the Darlington race. The Lady in Black, as we call it, Sprint Cup race over at Darlington. So that's your NASCAR this week. Next week, the All-Star race. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Or maybe that's 2 weeks from now, but anyway, the next race will be the Sprint Cup All-Star race. This year, $2 million is the jackpot. No points, just all for the money. $2 million, no points. It's going to be epic like it always is. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the All-Star race, is going to be great. So cannot wait for that event to come up. So let's see where I'm at here. I'm at about 23 and a half minutes. So that's actually pretty good timing because I can quickly go through all the other NBA news. Let's get back to the NBA. Like I said, let's get to the NBA news. In addition to all the hoopla going on with the Kings, we have the playoffs going on now. The Chicago Bulls are currently playing the Miami Heat right now in the NBA playoffs. But the coach, he has to give back some of his paycheck, even though he's doing really, really well, because he's been fined by the NBA. Chicago Bulls coach Tom Thibodeau has been fined $35,000 for post-game comments he made regarding officiating of Game 3 against the Miami Heat. Now, I can understand that. I mean, with the parts that I've seen of the games that I've seen between these two teams, it's been very, very physical. All right, there's been flopping going on. There's been a lot of good fouls, a lot of contact that's been going on. There's a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised to see, all the technicals and ejections that are basically going. The flops that he's saying that are occurring right now. One of the flops that I think everybody might be looking at was LeBron James's flop during the game, and but LeBron James says he actually didn't really flop. I mean, here's what he said about it. He said, quote, "It's kind of the same as when people said I was overrated. I have the same response. I don't need a flop. I play aggressive game, but I don't flop. I've never been one of those guys. I don't need a flop. I don't even know how to do it, so it doesn't mean much to me." End quote. So he doesn't. Apparently he doesn't agree with the flop. Now, when I saw it, I don't think it really was a flop. In all honesty, it didn't look like it. But I mean, there's a lot of physical things going on, and it just got over Thibodeau's head, and he made comments he shouldn't have made. Now he's $35,000 less richer as the NBA fines him for his comments. So, but it doesn't look to be hurting the Bulls that much. I mean, they're down 2-1 in their series right now against the Heat. So speaking of that, let's go and just summarize everything that's been going on here in the NBA playoffs. So right now, conference semifinals, Miami leads Chicago, like I said, 2-1. Game 1, Bulls beat Heat 93-86. Nate Robinson had a huge game with 27 points, 9 assists, 3 rebounds. LeBron James, like always, it seems, was the top player, 24 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds in that game. In the next 2 games, Heat absolutely just took over. And the second game, it was all Heat. It wasn't even close pretty much the entire time. Ray Allen scored 21 points, 1 assist, and 3 rebounds in the game for the Heat. And then for Chicago, we have Bellinelli, who took home 13 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds. But it was not even close all night. Like I said, Heat beat out Bulls game 2, 115-78, just a total blowout there. A little bit closer, but still kind of a dominant win for the Heat against the Bulls in games 3. Bulls were playing at home. Heat was on the road. LeBron James, Heat won 104-94. LeBron James for the Heat, again, another top player, scored 25 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. Carlos Boozer on the Bulls, he scored 21 points, didn't have a single assist, but he did get 4 rebounds. So let's see. So that's the Miami and Chicago series in pretty much a heartbeat, and just like all the rest of these will be. New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers are my underdog favorite for this year, as I don't know if you've ever heard that, but Indiana in terms of the East, that's definitely my underdog team. In the West, it's the Warriors. But Indiana Pacers, they currently lead their series over the New York Knicks 2-1. First game, Pacers beat the Knicks at home 82-71. Carmelo Anthony and Herbert for their respective teams were high score. Were some of the best players out there. Herbert scored 24 for the Pacers. Carmelo Anthony scored 21 for the Knicks in that game. That was game 3. I don't know why it came up game 3, but so that was game 3. Game 1. Pacers 102. Knicks 95. So this is game 1. West for the Pacers got 20 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds in the game. Carmelo Anthony taking home 27 points, 1 assist, and got a double-double with 11 rebounds, and that was game 1. Second game was the only game the Pacers didn't win, and they lost it by a very, very, very long shot. Knicks 105-78 over the Pacers. It was absolute torture. Carmelo Anthony, again, being one of the biggest guys on the Knicks, he took home 32 points, 3 assists, 9 rebounds, nearly getting a double-double again. George on the Pacers, he got 20 points, 1 assist, and 4 rebounds in that game. Let's go over to Oklahoma City and the Memphis Grizzlies. So right now, Memphis leads the series over heavily favored OKC 2-1. So let's go over how these games happen. So first off, we have the Thunder, who won their one and only win so far in the series in game 1, 93-91 over the Grizzlies. Durant had a very, very strong game, 35 points, 6 assists, 15 rebounds for the Thunder in that one. Marc Gasol, he took home 20 points, 3 assists. He also had a double-double with 10 rebounds. Second game, we have Grizzlies beating the Thunder on the road, 99-93. Kevin Durant for the Thunder again, just killing it, 36 points, 9 assists, 11 rebounds, 1 assist away from a triple-double. Mike Conley for the Grizzlies, he led big time in that game. He also nearly had a triple-double, 26 points, 9 assists, 10 rebounds. Game 3, Grizzlies beat Thunder 87-81. Kevin Durant, 25 points, 5 assists, and again getting a double-double with 11 rebounds. Marc Gasol for the Memphis Grizzlies, 20 points, 4 assists, and 9 rebounds, nearing a double-double there in that game. So Grizzlies lead series 2-1 there. Finally, my underdog favorite, Golden State over the Spurs, and right now the series is tied at 2 games apiece after 4 games. So let's go through it briefly, like I've been doing. First game, it was a thriller, double overtime thriller. Spurs Warriors. Ginobili had a huge shot in that game to help the Spurs over the Warriors. Like I said, 129-127. Big time leaders in that game. Stephon Curry blew the house down with 44 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds. That's a huge double-double right there, but it wasn't enough. Tony Parker led the Spurs with 28 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Very good game for him there. Let's see. In the second game, Warriors win over the San Antonio Spurs on the road to gain at what was the time home court advantage. Thompson on the Warriors, he had a huge game, 34 points, 1 assist, but he also brought in 14 rebounds. Nice double-double for him. Tim Duncan, he near had a double-double with 23 points, 2 assists, and 9 rebounds in Game 2. Game 3, it was Spurs over the Warriors as they got back home court advantage. Tony Parker, he scored 32 points and got 5 rebounds and 5 assists in that game. Thompson again scoring pretty nicely for the Warriors, 17 points, 2 assists, and collecting 8 rebounds. And finally, Game 4, Ginobili for the Spurs, who lost 97-87 to the Warriors in overtime. Ginobili got 21 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, and Barnes on the Warriors, he got 26 points, 1 assist, and got a double-double with 10 rebounds. So that is that is the NBA playoffs as they stand right now in a heartbeat. So let's see how much time I got here. Oh, I'm actually over my time right now, so I'm going to have to hurry this up. Very quickly, Tiger Woods, Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass. He wins his 4th title of the year, 2nd time winning the Players Championship, otherwise known as the 5th major, at TPC Sawgrass this weekend. He held off a surging Sergio Garcia, and the rest of the pack. So Tiger's definitely back to his regular form this year. And we'll see what it takes him from here. Like I said, this is his 4th win of the year. He wins what is considered the 5th major, and that's now the 2nd time he's won it. So I think he's doing really well, and he was able to hold off Sergio and them, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the year for him in the sport of golf. And then finally, let's go over the NHL playoffs very quickly. Conference semifinals as they are right now. Pittsburgh Penguins beat the New York Rangers in the series. They take it 4-2. Ottawa Senators, they beat the Montreal Canadiens 4-1 in that series. They're off to the next round. Capitals and Rangers, very tightly close rivalry there. The series is tied at 3. Have to go to Game 7, figure that one out. Game 7 is also going to be on the table for the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs, as they are now tied at 3 games apiece in a 7-game series. The Chicago Blackhawks, one of the biggest, best teams of the NHL by far, probably this year. They easily handle the Minnesota Wild 4-1 in that series. So now Blackhawks continue on. The series between the Ducks and the Detroit Red Wings, that series is tied at 3. That has to be decided at 7 games. Next series, my team, the San Jose Sharks, the only series to have a complete sweep. 4-0. Sharks sweep the Vancouver Canucks 4-0. And then finally, the LA Kings, they beat out the St. Louis Blues 4-2 to win that series. So a few more things left to be decided in the first rounds in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I can't wait to cheer on my Sharks in the next round. And we'll see where things go on right now. But if there's any team that anybody's got to look out for, at least for the Sharks anyway, got to be those Blackhawks. Blackhawks are really, really good, and they're definitely the best team this year, including winning that President's Cup. So that is it, you guys, for this week's edition of the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour. See you next week when we have all new information on all the things NBA and NASCAR related. We'll have the update and finally, hopefully, a final answer to the Sacramento Kings saga. We'll have any updates on the playoffs, any more fines, the latest NASCAR news, if there's any more. So until then, guys, until next Sunday or Monday or whenever I broadcast again, I hope you guys have a good one. Good night, everybody.